There's a point where pretending not to know becomes self-betrayal. For the Sigma INFJ, this point comes earlier than most. Because they see the signs before others do. And they can't unsee them. Not because they're dramatic. Not because they need to react. But because once a truth reveals itself, even quietly, they register it. Fully. And permanently. They don't go back to the illusion. They walk forward with the truth, no matter how inconvenient it is. Even if it ends relationships. Even if it costs comfort. Even if no one else acknowledges what they saw. That's the cost of clarity. And they've accepted it. Part 1. The pattern doesn't lie. People lie. Tone lies. Stories shift. But patterns never lie. The Sigma INFJ doesn't jump to conclusions. They wait. They watch. They map. But once a behavior loop locks into place, once the pattern repeats under different circumstances, they mark it as truth. Not speculation. Not assumption. Truth. And once it's marked, it becomes a reference point. Everything else, emotions, intentions, justifications, gets measured against it. So when someone asks, "Why are you pulling away?" the real answer is, "I saw what you thought I wouldn't. I caught the pattern you didn't hide well enough. And I won't invalidate myself by pretending otherwise." They don't announce it. They just stop feeding the illusion. Part 2. No need to be told twice. Most people need to get hurt repeatedly before they leave. They need loud betrayal, undeniable proof, external validation. Not the Sigma INFJ. 1 inconsistency is a curiosity. 2 is a signal. 3 is a decision. Because they're not just reacting to behavior. They're reading intent. They don't need to hear you lie to know you're lying. They don't need to be hurt again to confirm that you would hurt them again. They don't wait for the explosion. They leave during the silence before it. And that's why people often feel blindsided. Because they were expecting a breakdown. But the Sigma INFJ doesn't collapse. They calculate. And once the decision is made, they're already emotionally exiting, long before you see it. Part 3. Emotional fog doesn't work on them. You can't confuse a Sigma INFJ with vague apologies. With half-truths wrapped in charm. With emotional fog meant to stall clarity. They'll let you speak. They'll nod, maybe even smile. But inside? They're parsing signal from noise. Running your words through an internal filter that strips tone, context, and emotional weight, leaving only structure. Does this align with the pattern? Is this a deviation or a repetition? Is this honesty, or is it performance? And if it doesn't align, they won't argue. They won't explain what you just revealed about yourself. They'll just register it. And once it's registered, it alters access. Not because they're judgmental, but because they know exactly how much clarity costs. And they're done paying for false connection. Part 4. What you don't say matters more. Most people listen to what's said. The Sigma INFJ listens to what's left out. What someone avoids answering. The energy drop when a topic is mentioned. The subtle silence that trails a lie. They notice that your apology avoided accountability. That your explanation centered you. That your story keeps changing when no one asked it to. That your kindness increases when you're being watched. They notice. And they archive. The unspoken parts, the gaps, the glitches, the omissions, often speak louder than the words themselves. And once those silences form a pattern, that's the end of the benefit of the doubt. Because the Sigma INFJ doesn't need to confront. They don't need confession. They just need to know what's real. And unspoken truth is still truth. Part 5. Seeing what others don't changes you. Once they've seen someone clearly, they can't go back. They can't unsee that a friend only shows up when they're winning, that a partner changes their tone around an audience, that a family member withholds support out of quiet resentment, that someone's love was always a negotiation, never a gift. This isn't bitterness. It's consequence. The Sigma INFJ doesn't need people to be perfect, but they need the relationship to be real. And when realness disappears, so do they. Not with rage. Not with threats. Just quiet, irreversible disconnection. Because to them, pretending not to see, just to preserve a connection, is a form of self-abandonment. And they don't do that anymore. Part 6. Disengagement without explanation. What confuses people most is the lack of confrontation. The Sigma INFJ doesn't always explain why they're leaving, why the energy changed, why the warmth is gone. Because if they have to explain something you did, you're already the wrong person. They're not interested in forcing awareness. If you weren't self-aware enough to catch it the first time, they won't waste themselves trying to teach you now. They'll disappear with grace. With no resentment. No drama. Just the full knowledge that the truth revealed itself. And that truth was enough. Conclusion: seeing is the exit. So if you're wondering why they stopped reaching out, why they no longer seem open, why their presence now feels clinical instead of warm, you're too late. They saw something. Not once. Not accidentally. Repeatedly. Clearly. And they can't unsee it. Because for the Sigma INFJ, truth isn't something to debate. It's something to live by. They don't cling to people who force them to ignore their intuition. They don't argue with patterns that explain everything. They don't trade clarity for closeness. They walk forward. Even if it means walking alone. Because their peace isn't found in being understood. It's found in honoring what they saw. Even if no one else ever does.